Now, because Proverbs is really a book about life, it essentially asks us over and over again, which way are you living? Are you living in a foolish way, or are you living in a wise way? And it really helps us answer that question as we read through Proverbs, because it warns us of the consequences of living the foolish life, and then it contrasts that by presenting to us the many blessings of living the wise life. So here's what I mean. Flip over to Proverbs chapter 3 with me. There's a couple sections we're going to read together, and this is one of them. Flip over to Proverbs chapter 3, and we're going to find this principle, the blessings of wisdom, beginning in verse 13. So we're going to read verses 13 through 15. Blessed is the one who finds wisdom and the one who gets understanding. For the gain from her is better than gain from silver, and her profit better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare to her. Now keep in mind who authored this book. Keep in mind who's writing these words. It's Solomon, a man that we know who had amassed great wealth. Solomon had every material thing that he ever wanted, and yet he tells us that the person who is blessed is not the one with a lot of money. It's not the one who has all the material blessings. He's telling us that the one who is truly blessed, the one who has great wealth, is the one who finds wisdom and gets wisdom and does not forsake wisdom as he walks the path of life. Solomon is telling us that wisdom is so valuable because it provides many blessings that nothing else will bring into your life. Only wisdom will bring these kind of blessings into your life. And so he entices us to think, well, what are those blessings? Well, we see that in verses 16 through 18. Let's read some more. Long life is in her, that means wisdom, in wisdom's right hand. In her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those who laid hold of her. Those who hold her fast are called blessed. He's saying whoever finds wisdom, whoever gets wisdom, whoever lives the wise life, you're going to have life. And not just life, you're going to have long life. Not only on this earth, you're going to have long life in eternity forevermore. And that path of life that you walk on, it will be filled with honor and pleasantness and peace. And as you read into chapter 8, you find in verse 35 that another blessing of wisdom is actually the favor of the Lord. That when you live the wise life, you will enjoy the favor of God Himself as you walk the path of life. See, this portrait that we get of wisdom and its many blessings, it makes godliness look very attractive, doesn't it? It's like you and I are walking together on the path of life, and there are these billboards right along the side, all along the way, that have these great big blessings all over them. And as we walk in the way of godliness, and as we walk the wise way, it tells us that we're going to get life and long life and peace and pleasantness and favor of God. It tells us keep walking that way, keep going that way. And when we're enticed by sin to walk the foolish way, those blessings are intended to call us back because God wants us to enjoy them. Now, one of the things about Proverbs is that so skillfully written. And what Solomon does is he skillfully contrasts the blessings of wisdom with the consequences of living the foolish life. We find in Proverbs that the fool is one who consistently opposes God and the things of God. As we learn from verse 7, the fool is one who does not fear God. In Proverbs, we see that the fool essentially just lives for himself and not for God. He spurns discipline. He embraces sloth. He runs after sexual immorality. And what he really is living for is immediate self-gratification. That's the fool that we find in Proverbs. And he is enticed along his path of life. And we get an idea of how he's enticed in Proverbs chapter 9. So flip over with me to Proverbs chapter 9. where Solomon introduces us to woman folly. And these few verses in chapter 9, they introduce us to woman folly and they describe to us what she does and how she potentially can entice us. So let's meet her here, beginning in verse 13. The woman folly is loud. She is seductive and knows nothing. She sits at the door of her house. She takes a seat at the highest places of the town, calling to those who pass by. Now listen to this, who are going straight on their way. So these are people that are walking the wise way, and she's trying to call them from wisdom and away from the path of wisdom, who are going straight on their way. Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. And to him who lacks sense, she says, listen to what she says, stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he does not know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of Sheol. Woman folly is this loud, brassy, seductive voice in the book of Proverbs. She's kind of the Jabba the Hutt of the book of Proverbs, isn't she? Only I think she's a little bit more attractive, honestly, than Jabba the Hutt was. Because she's enticing us. She's seducing us with her words. And she says to us, stolen water, oh, it's sweet, and bread eaten in secret, it will please you. See, the imagery being used there, she's saying to us, come my way. You don't have to work hard. There's a way to get what you want without doing that. There's a way to live where you can enjoy this life without having to live a godly way. And she promises pleasure. She promises self-gratification, but we learn it doesn't last long. Because what she offers ends tragically in death, and not just physical death, death in the depths of the grave, meaning eternal death in hell itself. That's why the Father pleads to you and I. He pleads to His Son. He pleads to the simple-minded. He pleads to the fool. He pleads to the wise. He pleads to us. Get wisdom. Do not forsake her. And keep walking on this path. You see, Proverbs is a book that's not this collection of sayings. What it is a book about life and death. And it urgently calls out to you. And it urgently asks you, which way are you living? Which way will you continue to live? Are you going to live the wise way? Or are you going to live the foolish way? And by the way, the pleading comes this way. The pleading comes, if you choose wisdom, there are so many blessings that godliness offers you. And then it soberly warns you that if you choose to be a fool, you are choosing to march to your death. And so Proverbs asks you today as a teen, it asks you as an adult, which way will you live?